Welcome to a Chart Nerd technical analysis video. Today we will be discussing the likes of Cardano. The ticker is ADA against the USDT on its monthly time frame. Now, before I start, this video is not financial advice and is all for educational and entertainment purposes only. However, I hope you do enjoy the content. Now, looking at Cardano on its monthly time frame, what a month it's been, and we've seen quite a few large caps really start to pick up the pace. So you've got the likes of Cardano, XLM, XRP, AVAX. They're all starting to pick up. The larger cap coins are really starting to pick up here, and they're taking out key levels of resistance, but they are also running into key levels of resistance. So I'm going to show you now why this move has been fantastic for Cardano. We're currently sitting 192% up this month at just below 93 cents. So a wicked move, fantastic bounce here, and we have taken out a previous level of resistance. So this is really sort of kicking the game off here for Cardano. Now, I wanted to give a little breakdown of this sort of range here and what sort of occurred from these sort of lows. So we had this level of resistance that was roughly at around 41 cents, and we started finding these bottoms back in December 2022. We came up, had a double bottom here, so you can see you've got a low, and then we had a higher low coming into 2023, and then we had a breakout which was our March 2024 high, and the level of resistance at 79 cents that ADA needed to reclaim. So obviously this month you can see we have reclaimed this high, but again, just going from the breakdown, so we had this double bottom pattern here, which actually led to a breakout towards our March high, and you can see that this double bottom had a technical target of breaking up to around 76 cents. So that actually did come into fruition, and that double bottom target got met. Now from that target we had a relatively large pullback which brought us back to another higher low than the prior low in September. So you can see these lows around here a year later. This has taken 3 years. So we had a low in December of 2022. We had a low in September of 2023. And then fast forward to August, September, October of 2024, we've also had another low. So in theory, I mean, they're not symmetrical, but you could say this is some sort of triple bottom that's occurred here for Cardano. And this is why we're seeing such an impulsive break where we've taken out this key level of resistance that sat at around 80 cents. So very, very good signs. That double bottom target got met. It then came back for a pullback for, I think it was about 6 to 7 months. And now a lot of these altcoins have had similar moves. From a key level of resistance, they started pulling back in either some sort of flag or a falling wedge here for some example, and we have seen the breakout. So realistically, if we go from the top of resistance to the bottom of support and we drag where we've broken out, you can see that this technical target has actually been met for Cardano at $1.15. So the fact that we've broken out, corrected for the few months, and now had this breakout, this target I do believe has been met, and there's a reason here why we're running into key levels of resistance and not actually just smashing through. Albeit considered, we are still on the monthly higher than the prior month's close of last year at around 64 cents. So as long as ADA can close out above 64 cents, and if it can close out above this wick high above 80 this month, fantastic signs. However, I do think we may see a pullback into December, and this is something I've been covering on X if you've been following along. Now, if I'm going to show you the reasons why we're currently running into resistance. So going from our local low of this cycle, which was put in June 2023, retracing back to the all-time high, if I get that knob on, what you'll notice is Cardano has actually ran up to its 0.618 golden ratio resistance level at $1.14. So this is an area that's crucial. You can see over here to the left in April 2022, this was a very key area of resistance. And if we even scan over a little bit further to the left, you can see that this was once an area of support also back during its insane run throughout 2021. So we had sort of 5 to 6 months back in 2021 where we was holding the support. We put in that last extensive move. We then came down, turned that support into resistance on the 0.618, and then we came back to put in that bear market low this cycle for ADA. So my point here is we've got multiple points of contact on this trend line, and again we have just ran up to it this month in 2024. So it had been a very long time. In fact, it had been over 2 years since Cardano's been at this price. So it is fantastic signs, but just be cautious. And the only reason I say that again is because we are running into a very key level of resistance here at the 0.618. So what do I expect to occur here for Cardano? Well, really and truly, because we're at this key resistance resistance. I mean, over the next sort of few weeks, if Cardano can come back and hold a key level of support back on previous resistance, so if Cardano can essentially hold out above the candle closes at 66 cents, so if we zoom into the weekly and have a little bit more of a zoomed out perspective here, perspective. We could drag this up, in fact. I do think, generally speaking, that this sort of high would be nice to see held as support. So if we do get a couple of weeks where Cardano does get a bit choppy, does come back down, maybe go sideways, I think holding above sort of 70 cents would indicate that we're coming back for a key level of support going into December before looking to continue the trend and eventually get back to the all-time highs for Cardano. So I think it's about coming back to a key level of support right now. And again, you've got the previous high. Once you've broken out from a high, come back to it, back test it for support, look for continuation. So it's all about coming back to this previous high of March 2024 and holding that as support as it was previously resistance. So that's one thing we might look for here. The fact we've run into the golden ratio, come back for a week or two to a key level of support, look for the continuation of the trend. That's one thing to keep our eyes on. Now, if we can get a bit more of an accurate support level, so over the last few weeks, if we go from this $1.15 high, retracing back down to where this explosive move actually started, you can see that the 0382 fib, again, I'm kind of still in really bullish territory right now. So the fact that we've got the golden ratios below, we have to get the 0382 on, because these golden ratios may not actually get met because of how impulsive and because of market sentiment, we may not actually get to the golden ratio. So the first level I think would be an important area to hold is 70 cents. Now you can see this yellow line squeezes right over to these candle closes and is around that sort of previous March 2024 high. So if we can come back and hold the 382, that would be fantastic and there's some confluence for us. But failing to hold that, we do also have 60 to 51 cents below, which would be, from sort of current prices, would still be another 35 to 44% correction. Now again, I'm not saying that that has to happen. These are just some sort of ways to look for that sort of key level of support. Again, you've got 70 cents on the 382, you've got 60 cents on the 050, and 51 cents on the 0618. So all three of these would be support targets on this pullback that I would be looking for Cardano if it does start to sort of drop any further down. Now again, it wouldn't be ideal to lose these previous highs of support, but we do have the 382 there, and a 40 to 45% correction right now might be asking for too much. But albeit considered, we have seen a 200%. So is it? Really and truly, this is what we need to look out for. And I think that just coming back for a key level of support here at 70 to 60 cents would probably offer maximum opportunity if we was to get a couple of weeks correction here for Cardano. So that's just the sort of targets to keep in mind if we do come back for a correction here. 70 to sort of 60 to 51 cents. I know it's quite a broad range, guys, but if you come down and hold one, fantastic. If you lose it, then you know the next target to look for is the 050. Lose that, you have the 0618. Okay, again, not saying that's going to happen. They're just your sort of guidance tools using fibs for a sort of play if we do come back into December. Now I wanted to look at some bull run targets now. So I've given you the reason why we've run into resistance. We've taken out the previous high. Fantastic. We could be coming back for a key level of support before continuation of the trend. I'm hoping that that is the case here, and again, it's the same for a lot of these altcoins that have had massive pumps up over the past sort of few weeks. It's really good to see, but again, just be cautious. Not financial advice, guys. So let's look at some bull run targets before I go for Cardano. So I'm going to go from the current low of this cycle, retracing back to the all-time high. And if I showed you a previous fib on an extension where Cardano got to, so we're in fact going to go to the all-time low, get a Fibonacci from the all-time low back to the previous all-time high during its inception, which is in 2018. Now, if you have a look at this extension chart, okay, and these fibs going up here, you'll see that we took out the one fib, we took out that previous all-time high at 38 cents, and in 2021, we actually ran up to the 1618 fib extension, just above actually, we shot up to around $3. The 1618 was at $2.62, and that got met to a T with the candle closes, and after that, this is where it started its retracement and bear market. So that 1618 fib extension going from this low, retracing back to the previous all-time high, the 1618, this blue line, got met to a T last cycle for Cardano. So now fast forward to the next cycle where we get our fib on from the low back to the all-time high of this cycle. Okay, the 1618 fib extension sits at $16 for Cardano. $16. So I think a minimum, the 1272 will get met first at $6.40, which is still a 6x move roughly. And if you're looking for that $16, which I do think Cardano will meet, you're still looking at a potential 16x from current prices. Now, again, albeit considered, if this was a few weeks ago, these sort of targets would have been drastically higher. I mean, even getting to the 1272, if you got back in a few weeks ago, would have been a 19x move, and then going up to this $16 would have been a 49x for Cardano. Now, it sounds stupid, doesn't it? It does, but really and truly, you have to appreciate the fact in the space of a month, and when this thing really gets kicking into gear after being held down for so long, it can get very, very impulsive. It can get very, very impulsive. And again, just looking at from these lows, okay, back here in the prior cycle, and when Cardano did actually start getting into gear, it kind of didn't look back for sort of 3 to 4 months. So again, this is why I'm saying we need to be cautious. Although we've had this 200% move, coming back for a key level of support here doesn't have to happen. We could see these sort of candle closes above 82 cents, above these highs, and if that is the case, we could just see a wick down before continuing up to the all-time high. That is a potential as well, because once this gets going, it gets going, okay? But again, as you can see, we do have pullbacks along the way in this sort of uptrend from those lows. So corrections do occur within the uptrend. It's just, when are they going to come? Are we looking to continue the impulsive move? And what's the sort of outlook? So I've given you your key support targets. We are running into key resistance, but once this is reclaimed, I honestly think the next stop is the all-time high, and this 1272 at $6.40, which I believe will eventually get smashed. And my target for Cardano this cycle is $16.34. So that's my update today for you guys. That's my bull run targets. Please don't feel like this is going to happen overnight. This is something that, if it does play out, as you can see, does take quite a good few months during an epic alt season. And if we are sort of coming into that territory now, I do think that this sort of move can replicate itself. Now, we'll get a bars pattern on here and see if there's any sort of confluence to, if I can find a bars pattern. Where would I look for a bars pattern? I think it's here. Just bear with me for 1 second. I did have it on my... Where have I put it? Where have I put it? Where have I put it? This is so terrible. This is so terrible, Jade. Here we go. Oh, wrong one. Right. So if we go from the prior low to the prior all-time high and sort of drag this move over from our current lows. Again, this isn't identical, but if you was to look at the sort of current low that we're coming from, we'll go on from this cycle and maybe drag this out across a bit. You can see that really it's not identical, but we're playing out something very, very similar, where we've had the low. Come on, grab it. Why don't you let me grab it? We've had that sort of wick low. We've come up to a high. We've had a 5 to 6 month correction. Again, in this bit, it would have been a bit more shallow here, a bit shy of 3 to 4 months, and then continuation. But I think getting up to, again, this gives us the target up towards sort of $10 if we're to replicate the prior move. That's not spot on there, guys, but again, I just wanted to give a sort of example of when this thing takes off, okay, and it's found its bottom, it can kick into gear. So you've got my targets there, guys. I think it was, where was we looking at? We was looking at a $6.50 to a $16 Cardano this cycle. Nothing that I say is financial advice. You have your bull run targets. I hope you enjoyed the content. Take care, guys. From Chart Nerd TA. Peace out.